All right, folks, we're back, and we're just going to go straight to the in-game scene because we're ready to go with the first semifinals match here with Optimus versus Nerchio. Getting set up here, though, in the bottom right to get into the series real quick. It's going to be... Whoops, pressed the wrong buttons. It's going to be me messing up is what it is. It's going to be the red Zerg player, Nerchio.
On top right is the blue Terran. It is Optimus. I guess they were having a conversation before he joined the lobby.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm a little bit curious what this is pertaining to. An adventure through sanity. Oh, because of DreamHack Austin. Like, he's going to queue up on the NA ladder and probably not find competition. Is what I'm imagining they were discussing.
maybe you're right, actually. That is upcoming. I mean, some people have already like laid up their travel plans and are on their way right now. Of course, a lot more people are probably going tomorrow or Wednesday, but it's getting all set up. Super hype. Oh my god.
Yeah, getting closer and closer. For those who weren't here earlier in the stream when we were talking about it, this and then later tonight with the Alima League are going to be our last casts before we leave for Austin. But don't worry, you're not going to be left hanging because we are actually going to be casting while we're at Austin. Well, we're not cool enough to make the announcement list. They have worked with us to set up a little spot for us to actually do community casting live while we're there.
Yeah. So, still cool. Do you want to talk about the new co-op commander?
Not really, because I don't know much more about it other than who it is, and I guessed who it was pretty accurately.
Well,
actually,
I guess for
didn't.
those of you...
Yeah, I know. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, for those of you who aren't watching, I guess, and hopefully you weren't saving the stream for later, it just announced it's actually Phoenix, so it's not Talendar or whatever
well,
it is, you know.
It is Talendar, but...
It's Phoenix. So, like, he's not going to be in the suit, I suppose.
Oh, isn't he? I thought that's what they were going to do. Because for those who don't know, in Legacy of Light campaign, you get Phoenix as this giant robot thing. Looks like what's her face?
Yeah,
from
I think he's
Overwatch.
remade.
But if you talk to him enough, you get the special interactions. He becomes Talendar, and he renames himself. But it's the same unit. So is that not what he is? Or are they trying to play this off as Phoenix from like Brood War?
I'm not 100% sure. I just know that the designer was pretty like correcting that it is Phoenix, not Talendar. So maybe he was just being a stickler. Maybe it is nothing at all. We'll find out more, I suppose. It's the only thing I could listen to before we went in the game.
Sure. Real quick shoutouts to Mazadar, excuse me, I'm saying that name wrong, on Twitter. Says, got a Scimitar Pro RGB because of your support of BaseTradeTV at Corsair and StarCraft 2. You support them, I support you. Yo, man, that is awesome. I'm just going to bring this up now, though, because maybe you did or didn't do this. But if anyone here is going to buy any Corsair gear at any point, do us a favor and hit up the affiliate links we have below in the stream. You're not going to get a discount through it. Like, there's no 10% off BaseTradeTV code, but we will get a percentage of your purchase on top of the fact that you support Corsair. And that goes a long way for us.
I'm, like, freaking out watching the video. We can talk about it later. So the TvZ here. Right, so we did see Optimus play TvZ earlier, but obviously not against the likes of Nerchio, which being one of the best Zergs in the world, maybe? Certainly on Europe.
He was, well, I mean, the thing is, like, he goes around proclaiming #OnlineCupKing and then loses. I'm just saying. He's not even qualified to this season of Corsair Cup, and he hasn't won a single cup in a whole month.
Wow.
But that is mostly lack of participation and not lack of skill. I was building that up that way on purpose.
A couple links get in. It's actually very annoying to deal with only a handful of Hellions. As you can see, they still require to be microed, and that's going to take away the micro of what Optimus is doing.
He leaves a couple links up here to scout for something like this. And this is huge because it's all about trying to position yourself to make sure that you don't get caught with these Hellions. Those extra 2 seconds of time to split the drones, it's the difference of like 9, 14, or 7 drones dying.
Yeah. And of course, seeing the Hellions, you've got to figure they're going to do something with it. And it seems like Optimus, again, with the last series you saw of them, does like the Hellion drop as opposed to purely the Hellbat attack.
I'm actually sitting here pretty amazed. That was a Hellion drop that you could argue to a degree caught Nerchio off guard. Like, he left links to scout for it, but he still didn't see it coming until it actually came. That only got 5 drone kills. That was a really solid defense and good control of Nerchio, because we have witnessed better Zerg players in Korea lose more to things like that. And I'm thinking back to the days of like Journey, Hellion dropping, like Heart of the Swarm. You'd see like 32 drones die, and you're like, okay, that worked. That was cool.
Yeah. Heart of the Swarm was great. Well, the armory is on the way once again, so I mean, this is really delaying. Well, not. I guess he starts stem right now, but it's still delaying what a usual bio build would look like. But that timing might just work out really well. I mean, it's surprising so far to see Nerchio not build roaches, which he's now doing. And I guess Optimus was hoping that it would still work out, but there's going to be like 8 roaches. I don't think Hellbat's going to do very much.
Well, Nerchio's style and preference sits around these units, so I enjoy his choice of weapons, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what else he's gonna do with this armory. These Hellbats, not gonna do much. The Queen's yet to come forward to deal with the Banshee, and then that might have given the opportunity for Hellbat to deal damage to them, but that's, you know, obviously not really the case here. Nerchio is not flubbing his control and sending the wrong units forward at the wrong time, which is something that Optimus was probably hoping for. So, I mean, I guess worst case scenario, you lose 600 minerals, but at least it's only minerals and stuff that's not going to help you later on. And maybe you get a couple of drones. But to also lose the Banshee...
This Banshee has gotten, like, nothing accomplished this game either, which really just adds salt to that wound. You took the time to go for the cloak, try to get that Banshee out, does nothing, has 2 health, feels bad, man.
Oh, there's the infestation pits. Nerchio not going for many upgrades at all. Completely skipping them until just now, where he adds on +1 carapace and a 2nd evolution chamber. That's gonna give Optimus a lead in the upgrades by like 30 seconds, which maybe he could use at a later time. Nerchio also going quickly into that hive, so it is going to be the fight to ultras. Optimus definitely not gonna be able to get a 2-2 push before this, but still with 1-1 and a decent bio push, he's just not started building tanks yet. Maybe he could punish Nerchio for this. But I really feel like Nerchio might just be able to get away with this. Like, the production of the main army was so late for Optimus. He did the Hellion drop into the Raven, into the Banshee, into the Armory, and then it you know, it wasn't a very... It didn't lead up to a big army very quickly, and he's still going to be building it for quite some time. Cool.
Well, I'm waiting for Nerchio's hive to get underway, and once that finishes up, we're going to see him just come in with some power. This, though, is that opportunity we've discussed many times before. This is that timing you have to catch a Zerg player moving towards that really fast hive before ultras are out, when maybe there's a little bit of vulnerability. But my problem with this is that Optimus has an army that is not largely bio, Widow Mines, or Siege tanks. It's Hellions and almost that Banshee and a small amount of not even fully upgraded Marines. I don't think his timing is going to work out the way he wants it to. And with that being said, Nerchio's Ultraless Cavern starts and will probably go uncontested. Optimus is a good player, it's just the tools he has are not going to get anything done.
Yeah. I'm surprised that Nerchio went for +1 missile attack with how quickly he went to Ultras. Just the melee with that as well. And he does invest into Adrenal Glands, which, you know, that's some pretty quick ling. It's a attack speed upgrade, I guess it is. Which usually you see kind of like held off for a little while longer. But Nerchio is probably figuring that he has just a dominating positioning in the game. Like, he knows how late Optimus's push was going to be. Optimus also had to realize that too, and is already on his way to a 4th base. I mean, he got to double factory very quickly to make up for his lack of single factory production. But more importantly, yeah, just continuing with his economy as well. And we're gonna have a real late game here, where they both got to, you know, kind of, well, Nerchio definitely got to it very quickly, and Optimus still has to get to Liberators and Ghosts, but Optimus could try and turtle his way to that army composition. I'm not sure about this push is going to actually hit the timing he wants. Well, I mean, it might be pretty good.
Okay, so it's really interesting he had left these as Hellions for so long. He suddenly made them into Hellbats, so a little bit of buffer on that front line. Tanks walk in, and they're going to get some good damage done, but the problem is, Nerchio doesn't really have that many Ravagers. However, the Asterisk here is like, with the Ultras on the way, he might not care.
Gonna have to rebuild his Roachborn, it looks like, but he is taking out the Medivacs.
Ooh, yeah.
Only 2 left over, and the Ultras are about ready to go. They've already popped. They're just waiting for their plating, and there's still 4 more on the way, too. If Optimus loses his army, right, like, it's actually it's a sizable part of his army. It's most of his army, in fact. So I really respect his decision to siege up or unsiege, rather, and leave there. Now I can get his 4th base and still have it pretty well protected, again, with SimCity and enough tanks against the Ultras. And Nerchio might have to think about alternative solutions to breaking the Terran, which a greater spire would be one of them. So he slaps down a spire.
The medevac just barely doesn't get caught by the Coastal Palace, but the Queen Auto attacks get the job done. I feel for Optimus right now. Like, first off, I agree. I think his choice to fall back was the better one, because that was not something you want to overcommit to. The problem is, though, what can he do at this point? Because we're at that point where the Ultras, they have their armor upgrades. Sure, the actual upgrades are a little behind, but not by much. And, like, these Marines are going to be tickling these behemoths.
Yeah. So it might be worth just leaving 1 Ultra in that main base, as that might be just a continual point of contention for the drops coming in there. And it might also be worth sending 1 Ultra off to the very far left as they start to expand more and more. That is one of the weaknesses still of Zerg, in the late game at least, with Roaches and Ultras, right? Not Needle and Bling, is that they're going to have a tough time defending all their bases. But Optimus not going too crazy with the drops yet, and was attempting to push here. He murders the Ultras, Jesus.
I guess they don't have any support, they're not that good. The idea is you want Lings and Infestors to go with them, but...
Yeah.
Ah, that's so many tanks. This is like a do or die thing for Optimus, though. Like, these tanks could break Nerchio, but if Nerchio breaks the tanks, I don't know that Optimus rebuilds them very easily.
They're in a pretty damn good position. I think that was the infestation, but in fact it was, so no more Infestors.
Well, Infestors haven't been the biggest influencing factor in the game so far, but the Ultras come in a little bit derpy, and the siege tanks focus him down. He's actually focus firing them one at a time. The Ultras fall apart. Nerchio's army disappears, and he lost some very important buildings. He's got to make Lings that are not well upgraded. He has to make 8 Ultras because there's no other way to spend that gas. There's no infestation pit. Yeah,
this looks like it's gonna be game. I mean, it's been so long since we've seen tanks look good against Ultras. You know, there's been a couple of games in the past where I'm like, yeah, tanks are the way to go, but then they just kept on getting surrounded, and there's the graphical bug on the Ravagers again. That one's not even going away. Jesus. There you go. Okay, I guess it's something new.
I didn't see that one that time.
Yeah, well, it lasted a long time for me. Well, anyways, tanks they can be really good in a choke against Ultras, you know, but it's when they get spread out, or surrounded that's where they look terrible again.
So this goes back to, well, that was a little bit harrowing for Nerchio. Again, I don't know that Optimus rebuilds his army as easily as Nerchio does. But Nerchio doesn't have a bank, and if he walks into this planetary without proper support, he's going to have a bad time.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a very different scenario than we usually see in TvZ at this stage. Once the Terran... Once the Zerg gets up to like 12 Ultras and the Terran only has tanks, like not Liberators or Ghosts, it seems kind of like if they get surrounded once and they're dead, you know? But having taken the trade he did before that, killing so many Ultras, and also continuing to expand with a 5th base now on the way, very aggressively placed at Nerchio's would-be 4th, Optimus might be even better than Nerchio.
Oh. I mean, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Like, if this is a planetary, this is actually a really cool spot to create like an offensive/defensive position. But at the same time, this is like the riskiest base you could take on the entire map.
Yeah, it would make a lot more sense if he had that army that he just lost there, right? So,
yeah, like tanks to sit around it.
That's a little bit too risky. Ultras do take care of a drop, which they're really good at. Like, 1 Ultra will usually take care of it unless they find some cheeky place behind the mineral line. And Optimus is also having to deal with his own harassment. ASVs did go down, but still a very even game. Like, even army supply, even workers, almost even bases. Optimus finally finds a place to put this command center. Broodlords are on the way, but Ghosts do a fine job countering them, especially if there aren't any Infestors or Lings to disrupt the snipe, which there still aren't a lot of Infestors. That's the only one being made right now.
Yeah, Snipe's a hell of a thing. I don't know how much of an influence it'll be, though, because Optimus really doesn't have the money to make a lot of Ghosts. Like, he makes some.
This really sucks. The thing about late game, I guess, versus Zerg is while the Ultras are slow, and Roaches are slow, and Broodlords are slow, upgraded Lings will take out planetaries if you don't repair immediately, you know? So that is always going to be a thorn in Optimus's side, and the only thing he can really do about that is not only get a planetary, but also like a bunker in some Sim City.
Actually, you know what's interesting? Because Nerchio is not invested with melee like you normally would. Building armor would actually counter those leggings very easily, I think. It's not an upgrade mostly gone for, but I mean, it is +1 at 16 minutes.
That is a decent point, and I think usually at 16 minutes, or running up to 16 minutes, you would start thinking about those extra engineering bay upgrades, but because this is still such a back and forth game, and neither player really has that much of a bank, you're not thinking of accessory upgrades. And on that subject, we also have Nerchio not continuing to upgrade, right? He's been stuck at 112.
Oh my god, those transfuses!
For quite some time.
Those transfuses!
He's still gonna get one corruptor, it looks like. Okay, not even a queen after that. That kind of sucks.
He refused to lose anything, dude. That was so sick.
But that hero medevac, man, I didn't expect that. Ghost coming. This would have been really cool if those corruptors had chased. They would have gotten a lot of free snipes, but they're going way too far forward without any protection.
This is scary. He's going for some snipes. The scan is good. Gets him 3 of the Broodlords. This
was so risky. I can't believe he did this.
Oh, God.
He didn't know there were any infestors either. Like, he scanned only a part of that army.
He goes for a couple snipes. Gets 1 or 2 on the way out, but the Ghosts have used most of their energy at this point, having cloaked to retreat. But the Marauders and Marines save them, and the Ghost living is the biggest deal.
Whoa. That was a nice fungal. That hit a lot of the Ghosts, too.
That's like a possibly game-winning fungal, but there's still so many Marauders behind us. A lot of the Ghosts die, but Nerchio's fluff, his support of the army, it disappeared as well.
Yeah. And you can see if the Bi army got an opportunity to snipe Ultras, especially without that +3 armor against 3-3, they did a really good job about it. But Optimus definitely was a little too far forward of those Ghosts. He kind of put himself in a position that was asking to be potentially counterattacked and overrun. But he did kill the spawning pool, which means that, again, like to your point, like without protection, without something fodder for the Ultras, maybe Nerchio should not have continued forward, and he didn't. He had to pull back, even though there's no medevacs. Like another stim and Optimus would have been so dead, he didn't want to risk it.
Yeah, I also didn't realize Nerchio wasn't on +3 armor yet either. I didn't realize it was something that had been so heavily delayed, I guess. So that kind of sucks.
For a long time. Now Optimus finally has his 5th base set up, and he has an orbital that is free to maybe move to like the very far top left. I mean, it'd be kind of cool to take that base and then build supply depots around it.
I gotta be honest, I'm gonna be a little surprised if this goes like full split map though. Not because like neither of these players are good enough to do it. I just thought Nerchio got such a lead early on. There was gonna be no way Optimus caught up. But here we are in the late game where Nerchio doesn't have the upgrades he needs. Optimus had Ghosts. Fights have been trading, and the resources lost is surprisingly close.
Yeah, it's really interesting to look at not just the income advantage, which we use a lot, but also the army size in this specific game. Because we talk about early leads for Nerchio, and he never really had one. In fact, it was Optimus that arguably had the better spikes every now and then. So, okay, that sucks. That helps, right? But it might just, like, they are such even lack of bank, such even economy, or pretty even anyways. But the one difference is that Optimus does have, of course, mules, first of all, but then also upgrades. And he still will have those upgrade leads, even as +3 Carapace finishes. But that's just not moving his army at all. It was weird. No medevacs either, by the way. He actually put a 2nd starport more for Liberators, but they also need to be producing both medevacs and Liberators right now.
Oh man, there's a fusion core coming out, and my heart wants us to be battlecruisers. I know they've got a spot in the matchup. They absolutely do, but Liberator range would actually be sick in this situation because Nerchio, you'd have to dive really deep with the Corruptors, and if he does, that's where the Ghosts are just going to snipe.
Yeah, these Ghosts are a big problem right now. Once again, finding that abusive position where the tanks are even a problem, but if the Ghosts are protected behind that, then that's like, I don't even think Nerchio could break him. You know, if Optimus scans and targets the infestors correctly, the Ghosts will get their snipes. But he's actually sending the Ghosts forward, which is just so weirard.
Tries to snipe the Overseer is actually kind of a cute move, so he could cloak the rest, right? But
yeah. But again, not knowing 100% that there's not like 5 infestors. Now with the scans, he might. He just scanned twice and saw most of the army. I think he saw that there were no infestors with energy.
He got a lot of snipes off, but he didn't actually get a lot of kills. I think he spread the damage a little bit too thin.
Yeah. I don't really like how Optimus plays with his Ghosts, to be honest. You know, like, maybe he has some master plan that's worked before, but in this game it's just really not looking that great. But I feel like he gets this really undeniably fantastic number of ghosts. Like he gets up to 10 plus, and that's just like so good. And then he's very aggressive with them. He's not protecting them like the little babies they can be. Looks like the ultras are gonna die though, just to the remnants of the bio army, so it still works out in his favor.
Yeah, shout out to these marauders.
Hope he just go down again to the snipes. Nerchio just is having trouble finding the economy. He might have wanted to, and still maybe wants to, get a couple more drones.
I don't know.
Like 58's not super convincing.
It's hard to say because like we're at this point in the game where players are mining out and transferring slowly. Like 60 drones, 60 SCVs is actually great for the number of bases players are on right now. And I feel like if you actually invest in more drones, it could be a bad thing. Not because you won't be able to mine faster, but you just can't mine better. Like there's no extra bases, right?
Well, there definitely is now with that bottom left one up. He does have 3 fully mining bases basically, so I don't know. Well, almost fully mining bases. That one. It's a little lame.
Well, we get the Greater Spire. Queens could have saved that. He chose to let that go down.
That's disappointing too.
The Ultras Cavern doesn't need to die either. He's going to transfuse that one.
Okay, it's going to be save that last transfuse, but just barely. And it's going to be, again, another point that Optimus probably tries to drop again.
Yeah. Well, lots of ghosts on the front lines. The resources lost has seriously remained within 2,000 of one another for the last, like... When did I bring that up again? Like 10 minutes ago?
Yeah, something like that. But, you know, Nerchio... Oh, good fungal on those ghosts.
Oh, God.
That's so much loss right there.
I guess that's the problem. Like, Nerchio's got these really big units, so when you are going to lose them, it's only you're losing one unit. But ghosts are incredibly expensive, and to watch 8 or 9 die like that, that's almost the Zerg equivalent of losing like 5 or 6 Ultralisks all at the exact same time.
Yeah. Like, into the point of the economy, too. Like, well, Optimus also is running out of minerals to use his mules on. He has been pretty, you know, solid with his mules, you know, 3 orbital commands, obviously, but also keeping 61 drones, or SCVs. At 22 minutes, usually the Terran player has tried to sacrifice at least 10 or 20 SCVs to build their army, but they have been so back and forth, it's never happened. So he has been dominating the income for quite some time.
I gotta give credit to Optimus, though. Whether it's good or whether it's bad, the way each of these guys are playing, the fact is, at the end of the day, Optimus is not a player I see playing against Nerchio and having the same sort of results as Beyond. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, we gotta bring up the fact, like, the second time, because it's always like that first time was a little lame watching Optimus and Snoop, but the second time Optimus and Snoop played was what really made us like, wow, maybe Optimus is a guy to look forward to.
That's true, yeah.
That was not an intentional transfer, it looks like, or kill. That was a transfer. But he did take Snoot on Cactus Valley in a very late game, one that he probably had an even worse disadvantage in the early game, if I recall correctly. So Cactus Valley seems to be his jam a little bit.
Is he actually gonna take this base? This is insane.
I think with...
He's not just taking the base, he's flying the command center across the entire length of the map to take this base. This is like that Band of Brothers moment where the dude walks, like you guys remember this better than I will, like he runs across the town in the middle of winter. Oh my god, that choke, Nerchio can never really go through.
Yeah, and while he did get a beautiful fungal right there, I mean, the ghosts weren't, and they could still...
There's no way to capitalize on it, yeah.
Yeah, shoot down his Ravagers and Corruptors. Now, it's funny, he probably could have taken out the command center before it reached here, you know, with his Corruptors, but I think his troop barely just didn't see it, so opportunity missed.
Oh my god, he's actually getting a planetary right outside Nerchio's doorstep.
This is tough, but you know what's funny is that Nerchio... I mean, the right side of the map was already so suspicious, you know, like he was constantly going to get dropped as Optimus continued to kind of gain control over the game, and he was going to lose all his tech buildings. So to preemptively swap his tech structures to the far left makes a lot of sense, and that's what he's doing.
Especially as he continues to expand that direction too, but... All right, Planetary Standing going to do what it can. The Ultras come in, and they can take the hits.
Just sacrificing it might be not a bad idea. If it was just the Ultras, the SCVs would have lived, but of course Ling's coming in here now. Not going to be the case, and now the third base also has to be lifted.
I do want to bring up how long it is taking these Lings to chew through these SCVs that do have +3 armor. Like, it just maybe feels like a mistake that Nerchio doesn't have those extra upgrades at this point. I understand the conscious decision. Like, you've got the idea of either you've got enough broodlings that upgrades don't matter, or your Ultras already hit hard, so who cares? But these Lings, they could be doing so much more, I feel, if there was even level 2 upgrades.
Agreed. And he is starting to bank like a tiniest little bit, so maybe that's something he would continue to invest into as he gets +2 finished up here. But, you know, that was a pretty important move right there. For a long time, Optimus was in a position that Terrans, I feel, rarely think they're going to be in, which is that they don't have to worry about their extra bases, you know? Like, usually it's always Ultra attacks, or Corruptor pissing on them, or Lings, Adrenal Glands, standing on their planetaries, and he got away with a planetary for a very long time in that top left. Having now lost that, he's really only on one base mining, and Nerchio finally is the one that takes advantage in the income graph. And Optimus also is just gas starved. Like, it's not just 3 or only 1 mineral patch, right? Multiple mineral patches, but 1 base of mineral patches. It's also just only 2 gas geysers. So that might just be his last army. They are evenly matched in the army supply. The upgrades have evened up a lot more since the 10 minutes ago. And it's going to be a lot to positioning.
Oh, he doesn't have Baneling speed, I just realized.
Still good enough to collapse into those ghosts.
But it wasn't good enough to get there fast enough is my logic. Lots of snipes going off, then they do take out a lot of the Corruptors, but enough remain. You know what? There's so many Marauders on the ground and so few Marines. Yeah, he's able to just dive in here and take out that last Liberator. That's not a problem.
They're dry now as well from cloaking and all the snipes they've ever done. So I think Nerchio, if he could just reinforce like 40 Lings with these 3 Ultras, I think he has the fight, right? There's no medevacs. His army's going to stim once again and just die. Optimus has just been reduced to making only Marines.
So this takes me back. We're like, is all the damage done? Is this strictly because of stim? Or is this like units that would have died if there was better upgrades? If the Banelings had speed, had that connection made its way? Like, we're sitting here being amazed with Optimus, but if we're going to be truthful, Nerchio's missing a lot still. And it's getting to that point in the game where he can't afford to go for it anymore. And it's costing him in every single engagement.
It definitely is. I mean, this might just be the perfect visual example of like this all could have been 1 more upgrade on the Lings, but it's also just like important to remember as it reaches almost 30 minutes, and those of you who like skipped around the VOD or whatever like later, right? It's important to note that Nerchio never had an opportunity where he had 1,000 in a bank and just forgot or didn't go for the upgrades. Like, this isn't a very back and forth game, and there's definitely been some conscious decisions to not get upgrades.
Well, so that
more Ultra.
That definitely plays a little bit though into his hive timing, right? Like, but either way, there's no criticism here. I'm really impressed with Optimus, and Nerchio, despite those disadvantages, is actually still playing this out incredibly well. They're still trading to the point where nobody has quite tipped the other over yet, but these Lings in this run by are looking pretty okay. I say pretty okay instead of good because of those upgrades, but right now Nerchio's down in resources lost. He doesn't have the greatest standing army. And truthfully, he's finding the most difficult time dealing damage to Optimus. However, I will note that while this has all been going on, he still continued to expand. He still managed to block creep and make sure that Optimus doesn't exactly have a booming economy behind all this.
Yeah. Optimus was never really on top of killing extra bases. So while Nerchio finally got around to it, killing the planetary, killing the 3rd base, looking back, I don't think Optimus ever really did kill a base. Maybe 1 that I'm forgetting. But the point is, like, not very many, right? So Nerchio has also been kind of leisurely expanding when the opportunity presents itself, and Optimus is going to tap out, actually, without the main fight.
An anticlimactic end to an absolutely excellent game. Like, that game was great out of both players, and I thought it was a really cool game at Optimus. But you know what, guys? That's definitely going to be an ad break. So, after... what was that, like 28 minutes and 52 seconds. We'll see you guys in a few minutes for game 2. All right, folks, we're back. Thanks for watching that break. We are going to be getting into game 2. It's on Palladino Terminal. Boy, I wish I had map intros for this.
Yeah, I wonder, so on one hand, you just played a 30-minute game and eventually lost. Gotta feel bad, even if you played great. You know, always stings a little bit. So you go to like the shortest map possible. But really, Optimus and a couple other Terrans have been playing this map more and more often in all of the matchups. TvT, TvZ, TvP. So there's some shift recently on people's ideas and opinions on Palladino.
Well, kicking it off down here in the bottom right, he put up a hell of a fight in game 1. It is going to be the blue Terran player, Optimus.
In the top left is the red Zerg. He is Nerchio.
And just as a side note, not that this pertains to us, while there's really cool and awesome stuff being unveiled for StarCraft through the co-op commanders and all that, which I'm gonna have to go back and watch the VOD for afterwards. Twitch launches its affiliate program today, which will be really neat to see how effective that is. So small-time streamers, folks who aren't quite partnered yet, they got a chance to earn some bucks on Twitch.
Yeah, very cool. Twitch is, there was like some tweet going around, right? That was like, YouTube content creators, I wish YouTube would do X. YouTube, no lol, JK. Twitch content creators want X. Twitch is like, okay, we'll give it to you. No problem. And then we're also gonna do something that you didn't ask for, but it's really good for you.
Yeah, if you guys haven't been keeping up with the YouTube controversy, I mean, it's been like this for years, but more recently, it's just a lot of weird stuff and bad decisions have been made. And Twitch has been very transparent about a lot of the things they do. And I guess they're able to, because YouTube is so big. As much as I love Twitch for what it is, YouTube's still bigger. So it's kind of hard for them to be as transparent as Twitch. But I love where Twitch is going. I think it's great. It's growing, and it's growing fast. And I'm glad to be part of the experience.
You really imagine at one point Twitch has always been the dominating streaming service. There's no question about that. But at one point, maybe it did have some competition on the rise, and it could have faltered had it been worse at its job, basically. But
I wouldn't actually agree with that
really
statement. Owned was not just competitive, but was winning in a lot of categories, and that's why they had the money to buy out streamers and tell them come stream on Owned instead. Like, you weren't part of BaseTrade when we did this, but that was the thing. Like, we couldn't even get partnered on Twitch, but Owned would pay us $200 a month.
Yeah, no, I definitely heard about this, which is why I said that there was competition, but I don't... Well, someone else, I guess, who was maybe even bigger at the time, too, would probably have more thoughts on it. See, but obviously Owned was the one that died.
I watched... Yes, at the end of the day, that's true. But I was going to say, I watched Owned before I watched Twitch. So for me, I guess I've got a different perspective on it. Because again, like, those who don't know, I come from a League of Legends roots, and Owned had, like, bought out all these League of Legends servers. So I could be absolutely wrong in this. But from my point of view, because I started on Owned, it always seemed like the bigger platform. But they also burned money like crazy and had a bad business model.
I'm like pretty sure that was like a spike, you know, if at any point that was more popular, but I was not enough in the scene to have really strong opinions on this. So the point is, Twitch could have lost out, I think, on the control it has on streaming, but it's actually done a really good job. So glad to be on it.
Well, so actually, that's what's interesting too, because we take that one step further back, and I'm sorry guys, I'll shut up once stuff actually kicks up here, right? Because Twitch wasn't always Twitch. Twitch was Justin TV. And Justin TV wasn't this, like, super for-profit, need to be the big megalomaniac that Twitch is eventually going to become type thing.
Yeah, I was on Justin TV before I was on Twitch.
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting to say it the way you're saying it, because you're not wrong necessarily, but at the same time, I don't know that, like, quote-unquote losing out would have meant that they just died and disappeared. Like, I think we still would have seen... If not Twitch TV nowadays, the other variation of whatever spin-off comes out of Justin TV, you know?
Oh, I see where you're going with that. I'm not sure. Justin TV died long before it actually died. They actually just got rid of it. Well, anyways. The game is actually looking a lot like the last one from Optimus, who's gone for Hellions and Cloaked Banshees once again. Nerchio is staying on 2 bases for a while longer, though, and getting 2 Roaches, of course. That's still 2 bases, not 3.
This might be why Optimus likes this map, by the way. Not only is he doing Hellion drops in a style that he enjoys, but this is a map, too, where you can abuse some of that smoke in the back of the base. There are no Overlords back there. Well, there's one barely, but like some of that gas is I guess, seeable?
Guess so. But it seems like Optimus, this is what, the 3rd time we've seen him? 2 TvZs, maybe the 4th? But he's gone for Hellion drops. I think, if nothing else, Nerchio would know that, like, okay, I'm either expecting Hellbats from the front, in which case the Roaches can take care of that, or I'm expecting Hellion drops from the main, in which case I just have to be observant about my main, and I can deal with it pretty well.
And this also makes you start wondering, like, if Optimus's decision to go for Banshees has anything to do with the offense, or maybe just the defense. Like, the Cloak obviously will let him be offensive, but I'm saying it's the knowledge that Nerchio is going Roaches. Suddenly Banshees are a little bit more enticing.
Yeah. That's a good point. It's always a case for Banshees, because, you know, I think for a while, Legacy of the Void, they were just not... With everything else that we had coming up from the starport, sometimes Banshees just kind of got pushed back. Where in Heart of the Swarm, they were one of the most common openers all the time, always. But they are definitely good at defending as well as attacking. But it's not in really, like, Nerchio can do attacks, but it's usually not early game. It's usually more mid game. And to be honest, he also, I'd say, still is playing more to the macro game, not the mid game roach attacks. But if he sees an opportunity, he's willing to take it.
Well, Banshees are doing a substantially larger contribution to the game than on Cactus Valley. Still don't know whether that's enough, though. I guess if they kill these queens, that would be really nice. Helling's coming in too, and that base might just go down. Gets the cancel at the last second.
Overseer was pretty late to this party.
Yeah,
that queen is going to go down.
Oh,
and the hatch is going to go down again too.
Okay, so Optimus is getting a lot of work done with these Banshees now. This is awesome. Even if it just cancels, like this still delays Nerchio's third for a significant amount of time. And without like a third base, even like forget just the economy alone means like you're not going to be able to go to that fast hive again.
But yeah, he already delayed it. Being Paladino, that was probably the smarter move, but just as his build, delayed it, and to delay it even further, as well as lose those queens and just get messed up basically on his macro is actually a really big deal. Now Optimus, once again, he went for the Banshees, but he didn't go for the Armory, so he does have this follow-up looking a lot better than last game, where his follow-up was good, but it was like a lot later with those tanks. Now it's looking more like what you would expect from a 2-base tank follow-up, with 3rd base on the way, floating over right now, but drops coming in pretty quickly. Infestor is not quite ready to go, as they don't have pathogen glands. They're just going to be able to throw in a couple of infested Terrans and not help very much.
Interesting scout timing with that Ling. If it had backed away the way he had originally pulled it back, he would have missed the command center landing entirely. But Hellions are brought back home. They're kind of injured. Maybe he'll repair those up. Medevac's almost dead too, but he did set up 2 full fresh drops over on the left side. And Nerchio has seriously been cut down a peg. Like he's not comfortably set up with those 3 bases. Hatchery's still not done. Optimus has definitely got a window of opportunity here as that hive starts up very early once again.
Yeah. This is just a creep killing squad though, as it didn't have combat shield or its upgrades, and it is definitely better to save them and only get a couple of creep tumors that aren't really notable. The queen just planted them down again as soon as they left, but still. Better to save them, as I think the follow-up tank push, pretty brutal on Cactus, even if it was a little bit later, we saw how well it did, I think is also pretty brutal on Paladino, another reason as to why Optimus probably chose this map.
Banshee gets picked off. I was just going to mention too, by the way, someone says, how do we feed dares? That's 47S in chat. We actually pay dares to admin guys, just by joining the stream today. You're hoping to pay dares in a weird, funny way. We explained it at the start, but I'll do it again once we're out of game. That's a kill, not a cancel. Nice pick off out of Optimus.
I'm not so sure Nerchio should be skyrocketing up to Ultras based off how this game has been playing, but that is still his plan. A scan even goes down, despite the Banshee being in the main. It's kind of funny looking gets for the Ultras cavern, but finds it in a natural anyways. Bro finishes up to save his Infestors in case they're ever under fire, and Nerchio is... I think he's quicker to +2. Like the last game was so... not upgrade heavy for Nerchio, but he did have +2, so maybe I'm wrong. But Optimus has double tank production, 2-2 on the way. He scouted the exact Ultraless Cavern timing, and he could probably start pushing with the hope that it lasts long enough that it gets to 2-2 and the Ultras die to it. Nerchio, way too far forward of this army, not nearly big enough.
That fungal just saved his ass, frankly. That army he was trying to sit on top of. He's got this pre-scans going. He wants to catch the Broad units like the Infestors.
Yeah. Need to bring those medevacs back home. He's only on 1. That was a bit brutal. But he did kill the Infestor that he scanned. Spawning pool might go down. That would be so obnoxious.
It's a really annoying slow burn actually while this goes on, yeah.
This isn't actually the spot that I thought, hey, Optimus is going to abuse, but the idea is still there. It's going through a very brutal choke when those Ultras finally do pop out.
Leapfrogging the tanks is a nice way to advance forward, but it might still create that problem we saw last time, where if you get too spread out, it might be easy to get on top of them. Although, the spawning pool didn't die, so more Lings could be made.
Nerchio only just recently finished his 4th base, which is now going to be his 3rd base. Giving up that base was the smarter move, for sure. Like, he didn't make a mistake here, but unfortunately, I think he's just really put into a bad position how this game went. You know, he's had a lot of mistakes and a lot of his macro was cut down, so trying to counterattack now. Kind of splitting is done, and he has a couple of infestors.
It's really interesting the way that early game has screwed Nerchio here. I really didn't expect him to, I don't know, be affected so much by it, I guess is the way to phrase it.
Oh, that's also not going to work out against tanks. There's really, it's quite difficult to get a very good position, I think, on Paladino. Like, there's not too many pathways like on Abyssal where you can really just set up a surround or a back attack or something like that. Yet there are a ton of opportunities for chokes and high ground, low ground, which favors the mass amount of tanks that Optimus has.
Yeah, and
Nerchio is
a couple liberators thrown in there too.
I don't think Nerchio can deal with this, actually. He's probably realizing that too. Especially as the liberators come in here. He doesn't have a spire to deal with that, but hoping that a couple of really clutch fungals does it for him, maybe?
He's getting some good corrosive biles. It's unfortunate that his army is more ultralisk heavy, because I feel like if this was a lot more corrosive biles, a lot more fungals, like that combination kills Optimus a lot better.
This is the one surround that we've seen from Nerchio. It's his best opportunity to take a good fight, but no fungals. Queen's even coming in from the side, at least transfused. This isn't actually working out so badly, but some of them aren't even transfusing. Never mind, that was pretty bad.
God, the liberators also are mostly uncontested. They get taken out at the very, very end, but it's too late. And Optimus will take the game, tying up the series 1-1. Well, Namshar and Mana have been waiting for some time. I do feel a little bit bad about that. I hope they're doing okay. We're going to get to another quick commercial break. And we'll see you guys soon for Game 3. All right, we're back. Thanks for sitting through that small break, guys. But looks like we're ready to go. It's map number 3 on Abyssal Reef. So maybe we'll see some more weird graphic bugs.
I think we will. Thinking a War Buffalo for the 11-month resub.
Yeah, and Joro 550 for 3. Let's throw some arms up in celebration. All right, well, we're going to get into the third final match. This will determine who goes on to the finals to fight against either Mana or Namshar, who are currently waiting to play on the other side of the bracket. In the top left, we do have the Euronix Gaming Red Zerg player, Nerchio.
In the bottom right is the blue Terran. He's Dead Pixel's Optimus.
Okay, so Optimus played pretty good in Game 1. He played really well in Game 2, but what was interesting was the two crazy different types of games he played. Like Game 1, ghosts, counters, big late game, expansions, you name it. Game 2, I hesitate to call it cheesy, but like a very different opener, despite the fact that it was a similar build. Had very different results, and Nerchio, man, he took a lot of damage from those Banshees. Like, that third base got screwed so many times.
He definitely made a mistake. That was not like, you know, it was like a hard counter build, or, you know, Optimus had the right tactics because he knew what Nerchio would do. Like, no, Nerchio, he was playing a pretty conservative build, 2 bases to protect for a very long time, and the third base should have been as easy as having a third queen, or just, you know, them getting there a little bit sooner with an overseer, and that would have been defended, and that's an entirely different setup for the mid and late game. One that'd still be difficult, as I do think that Optimus was just in a good position on that map with so many tanks, but still a different game. Abyssal Reef is exactly the map I referenced, though, in last game, where I said, well, Nerchio has like an okay army, but he can't get surrounds, he can't get back attacks, he can barely try and counterattack. It just isn't really possible on Paladino. But at Abyssal Reef is like, that's all what it's about. And Nerchio's been very good on Abyssal Reef with those surrounds.
Yeah, actually, I love the way that this map opens up those pathways to let you do that. And I think watching Biol has been my favorite experience of watching a player who sits there and says, you know what? Like, my goal to this game is to not E-move, to not just like attack one clump, but instead always go around and always find the surrounds. That being said, though, the Reactor Reaper we've actually seen out of Optimus a couple of times. I'm not super impressed with this version of the build, but it is something that can maybe do damage to somebody who's not expecting it. Kind of like somebody who might not be expecting the Banshees to get too out of hand either.
Yeah. I don't really know about this build either, like, but I'm curious. We haven't seen it against an early pool yet, so maybe this is something to do with the Roach Ravager rush we've been seeing, which is not what Nerchio's doing, so that can't be tested. But I was also thinking about maybe like the Lings that run in after too, since the Reapers are the tiniest little bit delayed with the Reactor first. maybe they would have usually caught the Lings on the way. But Nerchio didn't use his Lings. In fact, he only sent one in to try and stall at this command center, and the other 2 Reapers are already about to pop.
I gotta say, I love this. Who's Izolda111 guy in chat? He's just been like super positive with these cat emotes, and he's just like, "It's Optimus! Yay!"
Optimus.
Well, Reapers are getting shots and maybe not killing the hatchery, but for will, they can take these queens on. Nerchio is perhaps underreacted to this. The Lings aren't coming here. They're going across the map, which I don't actually hate the idea of. But yo, these grenades are zoning it out. The hatchery does get canceled. And now Optimus, well, he doesn't have a wall off here.
Or at the main, and there we go. Okay, so at least he saves the main from being attacked, but he should lose all of his SCVs here, and this ended up not being such a bad idea. I was gonna say, I was kind of getting on board with the Reaper opener with how much damage it was doing, and if Optimus had 3 more Marines and they were all on like a ramp or up against a wall, this might not have been so bad. But as it is, I think Optimus takes the worst end of this trade. It's a hatchery cancel, but loses 7 SCVs and all the mining time.
I think the SCVs hurt a little bit more. I mean, that hatchery just got placed down immediately elsewhere, right? This is starting to get like really out of hand. Actually, he gets to surround top of the Marines.
This is not supposed to be what happens. And if Nerchio had any more Lings on the way, I would say this is game over. But luckily, stops with these, and the supply did end up getting raised. So this is really bad now. Like, it was an unfavorable trade, but now it's just bad. Huh. Well, Otto's gonna try and go for some Liberator harassments. Not a bad idea on Abyssal with that natural, and almost guaranteed Nerchio in general doesn't go for a Spire, but certainly with the way this game is opened, has not gone for an early Spire. And it might get something done, but there's a long time and a lot of damage done.
Yeah. Well, in the heat of battle, as things kind of cool off, thank you, Hello Zergling, for the 31-month resubs. Hot damn! Thanks for saving Monday for us NA folks. Base trade hype!
Nice.
I mean, it wasn't intended, but I'm glad that it worked out.
And I guess we missed maybe 2 other subs? Kawaii resub for 31 months.
Woo!
Which I did not see, and then I don't remember if you got Shandith NL.
Well, now we got them
for
both.
31. Yeah, now we got them both. Rodish should shoot up. Thank you.
This is a rebroadcast, guys. So if we didn't catch your sub, no, I'm just kidding. You guys are watching on April 24th at 11:58 a.m. in the morning on the Pacific Coast, then you're watching this live. If that time doesn't sync up with Google, then this is a rebroadcast. But we don't generally rebroadcast Corsair Cups or anything EU time zone.
Mm-hmm. So this Liberator was an interesting decision, and it looks like it's not going to be worth it. Interesting because, well, Optimus had Stim. He did hold off on double Medivacs, so now they're out, and now they're ready to go with Cyclone in them, but once again going back into Liberators. It's funny. Optimus has a 4 Reaper opener, which is like somewhat his, but then also going for the Cyclone drop is like what we see from Bunny.
Well, actually, that's what I was going to bring up just a moment ago. The fact that this does have a Cyclone with it, not a tank, I just assumed. But top of the high ground is a great place to take control of. You can shut down the base mining without having to overcommit.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, I feel like I don't usually see the Zergs take this 3rd base, but this is now the 2nd time, so... And Nerchio is a pretty damn good player, so... 3rd base taken here, and that is an abusive spot for Optimus to use. And...
Well,
he's not going to have any upgrades. This is actually one of the issues, I guess, in this game, long term.
Yeah, I mean, he's got Stim and Combat Shields, but... No +1, no +1. Epic Battle music on top of Epic Battle. I'll get to that in a second, but okay, this drop looks like it is going to finally get pushed back. It did some decent trades, though, for the upgrades that were at hand.
Ooh. So yeah, thank you very much for the bits.
Bowack. He's the new bit boss. Oh, he's got quite a bit of health on him, too. Nice.
He's Bowack Obama.
Wow, that joke came out of... I was going to try and go back to our earlier discussion, but I just can't bring myself to do it.
Okay, well.
So stupid.
So,
Wild zoos.
The queen dies over here, and unfortunately the lack of upgrades for Optimus means that his drops really do not look as good as they should. And get a Camex for the additional bits here. But I want to talk about the Hydralisk Den that is being researched. This isn't the first time we've seen it, but it is still a very rare composition.
Huh. I wasn't aware you needed to research a Hydralisk Den. I thought you could just build one.
Shut up. Well, I mean, really, isn't building and researching? Come on. You can say something that is researching is also building, but you can't say that a building is researching? Come on.
You can drive in a parkway, but you park in a driveway.
If you really want to get down to like the technicalities, Zergs don't, really build, they morph.
They evolve.
So,
They're
whatever, man.
Oh my god, I was just the dumbest thing. I'm just gonna go with it. They're evoluting. Research.
Evoluting. Like revelating.
Kind of,
so
I was like, how do you conjugate evolution? Oh, I'm an idiot. That's how.
Conjugate?
Yeah, you gotta conjugate the marriage after.
I actually couldn't tell what you said. So this tank would have helped out if it didn't have a dead zone. Tried to help out now, not gonna work out. And the drop to the left is, well, not fully prepared for. The Hydra should be enough. Lings are upgraded again. Gotta point that out. Optimus still on 1-1, and that I think is also his first indication that it is Ling Hydra.
Though? Why though? Did that just happen with the SCVs?
Why though?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh god, Hydra's.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Tear apart medevacs is what they'll do. Well, I'm a little bit sad to see Optimus go down, of course, but as expected, and kind of happy to see Nerchio advance. He'll move on to the finals. But that now sends us to the other semifinals match, which has been waiting quite some time on us. We'll get this quick. It's Namshar versus Team Liquid's Mana. ZVP coming up. Find out whether it's going to be a ZVP finals or a ZVZ finals. Either way, we'll see you guys in a couple. Thanks for watching, and thanks for the bits, guys. Thanks for the subs. Cheers. We'll see you soon.